So let's take the example of you see a student who is struggling, who has made a mistake and has down tools in some way. They've given up. How many of us will go over to that student, sit with them, and help them overcome that mistake, work out what they did wrong, and get on with it? Compared to how many of us will say, well, that's a really interesting mistake that I think a lot of us can learn from. Can I share that with everybody so we can all learn from it? Now, if you were to think about that, that first situation is much more common, isn't it? Much more common that we help them to overcome it. Whereas the second one, although not very common, is actually tends to lead to much more learning. In fact, let me touch back a moment on growth mindset. I would say if you can do that second situation with any student in any class, then I would say, well done, you've got growth mindset going in your organization. But if you can't do it with all of those kids yet, you haven't got growth mindset going yet. Too many people will say, yes, but it embarrasses the kid, or it makes them feel bad, or it shall we say, discourages them in some way. And my response would be, but why would mistakes be that shameful? What are we doing here? So now that's one example. We learn a lot from our mistakes. Whenever we've taught a brilliant lesson, whether it's online or in the classroom, whenever we've taught a brilliant lesson, we tend to congratulate ourselves. We tend to think, well, look at me, I'm a brilliant teacher. Maybe if everybody taught the same way I do, then this place would be amazing. But you congratulate yourselves for a moment, and then that's it. End of story. But what about when you stuff up? When you make a royal mess of it? How much more thinking do you take part in? How much more do you mull it over in your mind? How much does that play in your mind that night and think, what am I going to do differently? In other words, we learn loads from our mistakes, loads.